Right, and here's something else you need to know, is that out of the hundreds of thousands of hieroglyphics found throughout the land of ancient Egypt, not one single one of them shows anything about how the Egyptians cut or carved stone or constructed the pyramids. Literally zero whatsoever, and that's a verifiable fact, by the way. It's just that most people are completely surprised when they hear that for the first time. You see, what happened is we were shown animations like these as children in school, not realizing that this is nothing more than some theorized drawing created only recently for school textbooks. A bunch of primitive dudes wearing nothing but loincloths, using soft bronze chisels to shape the stones that make up the pyramids of Egypt.
Okay, so out of hundreds of thousands of hieroglyphs, there's not one showing them cut stone and absolute rubbish. So again, he's highlighting these two pictures. Well, okay, let's first look at the one on the left. Stonecutters finishing and dressing the limestone blocks. This comes from the tomb of Rekhmire. It exists. There's a tomb of Rekhmire. You can find it now. There's, so bottom left corner, there you can see the current condition of the tomb and why the need for the illustrations to fill up those little gaps in there. Now, okay, so more images from the tomb of Rekhmire shows them carpentry, metalwork, stoneworking, all of the crafts in there as well. That's why the tomb of Rekhmire is so important, because these images can be found elsewhere going back further than this period, but they tend to be, well, Rekhmire has them all on there. It's quite beautiful and rare in that way, that it's got like just countless images showing the whole range of industry and crafts and how they were doing these things at the time. So firstly, that one is real. Now, experiments in ancient Egyptian stoneworking technology, Dennis Stocks. Anyone who's interested, because they use Dennis Stocks all the time, they show one little clip of his from like 20 years ago, but they don't, anyway, throughout this book, using that type of image in the book rather than the original photos, but that was just made up, Dennis Stocks. They just lied, they just made this up. No, Bright Insight is lying, because literally, there are of the hundreds of thousands, there are many, many, many to do in there. So what else is going on in here? Well, firstly, we see different styles of chisels for different types of purposes. Now, if they have any interest at all, they would have found this out. I'll do some follow-ups, because he also shows a clip of them carving the Sphinx nose. They love that clip, and there's that one of drilling in granite as well. They just keep showing that over and over again. They don't show you all the other ones, but very carefully censor that stuff out. But all right, now measuring, using a measuring stick, a measuring rod. Master masons were using and still use this. Now, they tend to be now store-bought tape measures, but master masons, super duper extraordinary masons, such as the traditional granite masons from India that went to do the recent granite temple that was built there in Hawaii with these perfectly fit stones as well. So we'll cover that as well. But look, you can't get a credit card in there. BFD, you'll find, like, not just people are still doing that work now. You walk through any major city, find a historic building that predates, CNC machines and advanced technology, and you'll find fit stones everywhere. It's an absurdity. But okay, what's going on here? Well, he's using boning rods. Basically two equal length sticks with a string stuck between them, and then you run an equal length rod between those, and when the rod touches the string above, bends the string, shows you that you have an imperfect surface. Dennis Stocks, now amongst his book, he was doing drilling, the whole range of experiments, including casting copper and stuff like that. So they're going to go, well, these blocks are only small. No, boning rods work across large surfaces as well. So if I can do these two small limestone blocks, each with a surface flattened to a tolerance of 1/4 of a millimetre, you can do it across a large surface. This is another one of the bogus arguments. Well, it's never been done on any scale, and they cut just a small little block. If I use a small blade on a small block, it's just like using a big blade on a big block. This thing hasn't been done to scale is an absurdity, and it's stupid. Boning rods are still used now. It's just a very simple, very effective. It doesn't run out of batteries. You don't need to get the tools calibrated because you dropped it and some sensitive little sensor got, the advantage of these primitive tools is that they are primitive and that they work all the time. You can also use boning rods to transfer the shape of two surfaces together. Also, Tomb of Rekhmire, loincloth wearing primitives working stone sphinx. Well, they're making sphinxes, they're making statues, they're using copper pounders, stone pounders, chisels, all of those other tools. Okay, sorry, now you can even see down here, that's part of the larger image. So on the bottom half of this, you can see where he's using the measuring stick with the guy on the top and the other guy flattening him off. And again, you can see how the image has been degraded over time. And so why is the need for these illustrations? Because this, sunlight and, not sunlight, but pollution and stuff is affecting these. And if they're not preserved, they're going to be lost, and we're going to have to rely on illustrations and older photos. And then these lost ancient eye technology knuckleheads will just go, well, that's just a cartoon. No, it isn't. So this guy actually asked for money. I'm not punching down with this. He's not just some, random guy with some random account. This guy's got millions of views and subscribers, has a big impact, and therefore really should have a responsibility. He should be a grown-up. Now, and he's charging money to take people on tours as well. So this would apply to that whole, that tour industry there, where they're just telling lies over and over again. By the way, the tools these are the only tools that we're known of. Yeah. Now, if I was to compare that toolkit to a stonemason's toolkit, get from the 1800s or the 1900s, it's going to look it will look exactly the same, except that they're using steel or iron. And again, in other videos now, the Egyptians did not use copper. They mined copper, but the copper was impure. It's not like modern copper, which was arsenical copper. So again, he says in the video, tin, that bronze is a mixture of copper and tin. That is true. That's tin bronze, but the Egyptians were using arsenical copper. It was actually arsenical bronze because of a percentage of percentage of arsenic in there. And it makes it, firstly, a different metal. We'll get into that more in some future videos because we'll just show you examples of people doing it. Again, plenty of hieroglyphs and imagery showing the people using the known tools to do the known work as well. So if you can make a statue or sculpture, like making a rectangular block, fitting two surfaces together, it's nothing. So these are not animations. These are not just made up, in recent, this Smithsonian covered this all up and they're just making this stuff up. No, we see in these images, all they've done is made it a nicer, more modern image using horizontal and square levels, using boning rods, using the tools, using string lines. A stone axe is no different than a steel axe. It's exactly the same. You'd prefer steel because there are advantages to it, but using a bad tradesman with a steel tool versus a good tradesman with a stone tool, take the guy who's got experience, because steel does not transfer mystical precision qualities to it. If you can't carve for crap with bad tools, you're not going to. If someone gives you good tools, you're not going to suddenly develop this skill. So again, this is just one of those. Copper and but they had steel. No, it's the skill of the workman, not the material that works. Take the choice. You get the best. You get more modern stuff, but it works exactly the same. Maintenance and these things will extend the time that goes out, but in some cases, stone would be better because, you just grab a new stone. You don't have to go back to the forge to fix your steel tool. So copper tools, bronze tools will bend and need fixing, but so do steel tools. So this is just an absolute nonsense to begin with, and also very the loincloth dudes, well, this blue shirt wearing guy is good for nothing. Like it is, firstly, he doesn't know anything. So let's be charitable. He's not lying. Well, then he doesn't know anything because he's just made these statements. Well, of the hundreds of thousands, there's no existence of this. That's not true. Or he has done even basic preliminary, even like I'm slightly interested in this thing that I charge money for, therefore I should know at least the basics of it. Again, Tomb of Rekhmire and these other pictures, you just sort of start Googling and reading and looking a little bit into the work that's been done, and it's all there, just sort of sitting there. But no, they have to. He's making money now. What's the quote? It's very, paraphrasing, but it's very hard to get someone to be truthful when their income relies on them being deceivers, and that's what it is now. Oh, that's very harsh, But firstly, this lost high technology have got no qualms about saying that it's been covered up and that they're not research. The Egyptologists haven't done anything. So they can't, say, well, he's not being civic. He's not being civil. Well, neither are they. At least I'm being honest. I'm not hiding behind these cheesy grins and all this type of stuff. I'll tell you flat out, you're either incompetent or you're a bullshit artist. And I'm civil enough to be honest with this type of stuff as well. I've got all sorts, I'm very alternative as whatever that really means. And I think there's, we need to, give the ancients a lot more credit for their level of maths, geometry, metalworking skills and so forth. I'm not I've got issues with Zawi Hawass as well, if that sort of me, us versus them thing. But I'm not going to resort to covering stuff, It's at this point that these, researchers, it's just rubbish. It's bullshit. So either they know nothing, or they do, or they have done the work and they're covering it up, and that's about all there is to, say that these things do exist. And the Tomb of Rekhmire is not it is rare in that there are so many images of stoneworking, metalworking, woodworking, and all the connected jewelry making and all these connected industries coming together. But individually, you will find these, and again, by far it's not the only work, but experiments in Egyptian archaeology by Dennis Stocks. This would be the type of thing you would expect that they would have even heard of or had a basic thing, or even apparently they're interested in this because they're charging thousands of dollars to good people to go on there, and then they say absolute falsehoods, like there's literally hundreds of thousands, but there's no images of them doing that. No, there are many, many images of doing that, which includes, for instance, the Diary of Meroe, which is bringing Tura limestone to the Giza Plateau. Now, even if you don't accept that transfer of stone was for the making of the pyramids, at the very least, it shows the level of, because the Diary of Meroe is basically a spreadsheet. It's not just what he's saying, it's also the format of it, which shows that the bureaucracy and record keeping and seriousness and the way they were able to organise large work crews and do large transfers of large stones as well, because also in this video he talks about the size of the boats not being able to carry the stones, which is another absolute nonsense. I'll do that in a small, but absolute rubbish, absolute nonsense, not true even in the slightest. And so again, the primitives, loincloth wearing primitives, well, this blue shirt wearing red-headed rube knucklehead. You reap what you sow, buddy, and he's still doing this. So again, it's like maybe when he started years and years ago, but he's still, the stuff that he started with years and years ago is what he's still selling now, and selling for guided tours. This is fraud, in my opinion. This, there should be a serious financial penalty for this, because he's taking money off people under false pretenses. And now you go, well, but he believes in it. Well, if I sell snake oil, if I say to a cancer patient, well, don't trust, here, take this special berry that I've got, stop getting treatment. Rightfully, I should be sanctioned for that. And so it's not as deadly serious in that case, but it's still the same thing, that it's you're asking for money under false pretenses. You're claiming to have some sort of knowledge, experience, and you clearly don't have it, and it's just silly. It's deceptive whatever way. Okay, because either you have studied this and you're covering it up, so therefore you're lying, or therefore you're lying about the fact that you have even done basic levels of research in this thing that you're charging money for. So this was someone left a request on this, and it's this video. I'll do it in smaller bits because it's worth going, because the things he says in a sentence, it's hard to unpackage this. That's the way with con men. It's, they can say something, they can tell a beautiful lie, and it's in 10 seconds, and it takes a bit of time to unravel these lies, these cons. And it's a scam, it's a fraud, it's disrespectful on so many levels, both to the people that they're stealing money off for these tours, and disrespectful to the people who came before us. And I'm not just talking about the ancients, I'm also talking about the stonemasons that, again, were working in a century ago or 2 centuries ago, and everywhere in between. So no. This guy, Jimmy from Bright Insight, is absolutely, completely, 100% either lying or ignorant on the topic that he's charging money for. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how much credibility would you say that you have?
Literally 0 whatsoever, and that's a verifiable fact, by the way. It's just that most people are completely surprised when they hear that for the first time.